business, biceps, a little BS. Fitness mixed with finance, now you're really gonna see us as we're learning, growing. All your minds we're blowing, earning while we're burning. Shirts are tight, so games are showing. Resolve, evolve, absolve, it's time to make a move. Better check yourself, cause if you're doubting, no, we got the proof. Voices speaking loud, cause we're proud about what we can do. Tickling your ears with CPE, rooted in the truth.
In the wildwood of accounting, we all know garbage data in means garbage data out. The same thing applies to your body. As a C-suite guy who obviously lifts, I want to be just as sharp in the boardroom as I am in the weight room. I don't have time for guesswork supplements or flashy nonsense, and that's why I use Redcon One. Clean ingredients, real formulas, stuff that actually works when you're training at 5 a.m. at the gym or burning midnight oil in your month-end grind. So whether you're an accounting bro, finance bro, or business leader in an NGO, if you want more energy, better recovery, and fewer excuses, this is your sign. Head to redcon1.com and use promo code BIZBUYSANDBS for 20% off. Don't just audit your numbers, audit your nutrition by leaning into America's favorite supplements at Redcon One. Yeah. Thank you very much for being here on Biceps BS. You spell your name differently than it sounds.
That's right.
So spell your name real quick.
Artur.
And you say it?
Arthur.
So there's no H.
No.
There is a city in north of Rome, Georgia. It's called Armucci. All right? But everybody says Armurci.
Okay.
It has no R in the actual word. So everybody, like, you know when people are new to town because they call it Armucci, like, oh yeah, that guy's from not from around here, right? But for some reason they decided they're going to drop an R in it, and it's just one of those country things that people do just to mess with people. It's like when like there's that town. I'm trying to paint this so you would. I'm going to ruin it. It looks like Lafayette. Mm-hmm. But they say Lafayette, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, you know what? Never mind, your dog's bigger than mine, your truck's bigger than mine, you have a beard. So we're going to call it Lafayette.
When I moved to the U.S., my first year in American school, I called Adidas, I thought it was Adidas.
Yeah, it's Adidas.
Yeah, but it kind of sounded like, you know, and people were like, "What are you saying? What are you saying?"
It's die Weltenmarken mit den Streifen.
So
yeah,
I don't speak German.
It's the logo with the 3 stripes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and people would just be like, "What are you saying? What are you saying?" It took me a while to, you know, in French it's the same thing. We have a lot of weird pronunciation things. In English, like
true
salmon, you know, like that's a. People just say salmon.
Salmon?
Yeah, that's something I really struggled with. I was like, there's clearly an L in there.
That's actually a pretty good southern accent you got there. In fact, for the next 15 minutes.
No, my improv days are over.
Arthur, you talked about from where you're from. So last name?
Jacques, Jacques, if we're
all right. The French have invaded the business biceps and merde, right? That goes all the way back to, did you ever see, oh gosh, how old are you?
27.
Okay, you've definitely not seen this. It's with Keanu Reeves and another guy, oh gosh.
The Matrix?
No, but that's good. Steve, what's the movie where they go back in time in the phone booth? Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. All right, Steve coming off the board. So they're traveling all over the place, and they end up picking up Napoleon. And it's actually a really funny show. But they have this phone booth. Who was the comedian that passed away? George Carlin. George Carlin comes in, so he's the guy. He's kind of like the Morpheus guy that in this show. So Keanu Reeves has been in a couple of very high tech movies
with phone booths.
With phone booths. That's right. I never made that connection until now. Is John Wick? Is there a phone booth in John Wick?
I don't know. We should check.
All right, we need to figure this out. But so they go back in time because they have to pass this last history class or they fail high school, right? And so the whole thing is like they get in this telephone booth and they start going throughout history and grabbing people like, hey, bro, and they all talk like, hey man, bro. It's like they have a band called Wild Stallions and stuff. It's like they go, blah, blah, blah. But they grab Napoleon. And they bring him to current day United States, right? And they take him to the bowling alley, and because they're like, what are you gonna do with Napoleon? He's like, I don't know. I gotta go get this guy, and I gotta go get this girl, right? Cassiopeia, or Cleopatra. I gotta get this person. So they're gathering all these people. So they have somebody babysitting him, and he's bowling, right? Typical American thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the 90s, 80s, 90s. And he gets a gutter ball, and you just see him go, merde, 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 merde. And it's like everybody's looking around like, what's going on? It's like, I was taking French at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's like totally cussing on TV, right? Anyway, so please, you're Canadian French. You're not
French.
You are French.
French, real
French.
No offense to.
Do you like
Canadians.
wine?
Yeah, but I don't know. Sadly, I really don't know anything about
Do you
wine.
smell corks when you uncork a bottle?
Only if I want to be pretentious.
But being French, you're automatically pretentious.
I'm already pretentious.
You're wearing it very well.
The
And
short
of
answer
course,
is yes,
being
I do.
American, I'm automatically obnoxious. So you and I, this is going to be a clash of the titans.
I'm American now too. I have a passport, so I'm both.
Okay, so tell me, you were sharing outside about your story. Tell me about how your family got here, and then just develop Artur Jacques for me.
So I'll develop the character. So half Polish, half French. My mom escaped communism, and she met my father in Paris. They
Of
had
course,
me.
we'll always have Paris.
Well, and
They did.
Texas now. So.
Paris, Texas.
And so we won the green card when I was 10 in a lottery, which is like first time we played. My mom won it for us. So thanks, Mom.
I love you.
Yeah, we moved to New York. My dad is a perfumer, so like most French job
Really?
ever. Yeah. Do you want me to keep going? Or?
Yeah, I do want you to, because this is really fascinating. I think perfume is interesting because that's the one thing that when you smell it, it instantly takes you back to that one time, whether good or bad. But there was a movie about a serial killer who was making perfume. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I only know it because Kurt Cobain made a song inspired by that movie, but I don't actually know the.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, they just recently realized that was a homicide, not a suicide.
Huh. Oh, wait, Kurt Cobain?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Apparently, it wasn't his finger on the trigger.
Since when? When is that like
within the past 2 weeks?
Really?
Yeah, I read Daily Mail.
Okay.
It is the UK version.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah, there's a little bit of fluff in there, but no, I think that
AI generated article.
it might be. I don't know.
That's crazy.
It really
Really?
looked like Kurt. Like,
I mean,
the before and after picture was uncanny.
The music industry has a ton of those, like.
Whodunits? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think Courtney knocked him off. No, they think that he was actually killed. Like new evidence has come forward.
That's crazy.
So.
Huh.
So anyway, so back to Artur Jacques.
Yeah.
So your dad's a perfume.
So my dad's a
perfumier.
parfumeur.
Parfumeur.
Mm-hmm.
Oui.
Oui. So he, and then he became a creative director, et cetera. Anyway, so we moved to New York, and did my schooling there, studied finance, and then went to work in California. So I moved to Palo Alto to work for Tesla in finance and business operations, and it was a rotational program. So I was a guinea pig in this program. We never had it before, and it was 9 months in corporate finance, 3 to 4 months in data analytics, and then the rest was you could pick a business unit. So you could be like engineering finance, sales finance, and I picked manufacturing finance.
This is cool.
And it was awesome. And then after my rotation, it was like 9 months in manufacturing finance. So it's like a year and a half there. I decided to stay with manufacturing finance, and we could go more into detail, but it was like a experience of a lifetime. It was awesome. And then I started my own company, which I'm sure we'll also get to touch on. But
so
that's the quick of it.
So while you were at Tesla, how did you make the jump from being in New York and doing your finance education there, and then all of a sudden heading all the way out to California? How did that work?
So, I mean, the real story is I had a job with Grant Thornton. I was going to do
I thought you were going to say it was because of a girl.
No.
Followed a girl out there, and I just had to take this job at Tesla.
No. In fact, maybe quite the opposite. But we're not going to get into that.
I had to leave.
No. So I moved there, and basically, I got the job. I was supposed to be in transactions and advisory, kind of typical. But I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father's an entrepreneur. My mom's an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. So I've always kind of had it in me.
Is it because it's French?
I don't know. They're Polish too, so technically we have more Polish entrepreneurs than French entrepreneurs in the family.
What's the Polish word for entrepreneur? Entrepreneurski?
Yeah, entrepreneurski. Let's just say that because I can't think of it right now.
Okay, you're on your way to California.
Yeah, entrepreneurski, exactly. And so I had, and I basically kind of applied to this position thinking, oh, that would be kind of cool to work for Elon Musk. He's like the #1 entrepreneur in the world. And it was before all the political stuff.
The Twitter
too.
stuff?
Uh-huh.
Doge?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Doge is pretty badass.
Yeah. So basically, I was we were the Doge inside Tesla. So that was like a really cool thing.
Oh, wait. So you were like you were the testing ground for what he put out on the U.S. government? Whoa, you're like the insider of the inside.
If you wish, yeah, kind of in a way.
I wish.
I mean, yeah. Although to be fair, the finance team was more already a reflection of who he was.
Okay.
But yeah, so I basically got an Airbnb. I stayed with this Chinese family that didn't speak a lick of English, and I had like a room for 2 weeks, and then I didn't have a plan, so I just kind of moved there with my suitcase, found an apartment within 2 weeks, then bought a car because you need to in the Bay Area. I had like a rental car for a month, and I just quickly booked everything, then started my life. So it was a really like entrepreneurial endeavor too. Didn't know anybody in California, just kind of
just went out and did it.
Yeah.
How many years? When was that? What year?
That was 4 years ago now.
Okay, so you were battling COVID that time frame.
Yeah,
too.
it was just over.
Okay.
It was like literally the first day I came back was the first day back in office.
Uh-huh.
And they had also announced a layoff, so I wasn't even sure at first. I was like, am I coming in or not? Elon companies are crazy. Like people are getting chopped. And so my first memory is walking in, and the desk I sit at is empty, and I realize it's empty because a guy literally is walking out with a box. And
it was his desk?
It was his desk. So, yeah.
Did you ask him why there was Mike markings on it and like, all the carvings of F this?
Screw this. No, and it was just like a very somber atmosphere. And, it was like, hello, everybody. Hi. And, Tesla, Elon is intense. Everybody there is intense. And so they immediately, like, first thing I did was see that guy leave, and then we're going to this big cost review. And I'm just sitting there, and they're talking about stuff. I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm like, this is a bit like, this is going fast. This is drinking from the fire hose. And it was drinking from the fire hose, but eventually, you kind of settle in, you get the rope, and it was a ride. It was awesome. I mean, we always said it, and I'm sure everybody, thinks what they do is cool, but we always said like a year at Tesla is like 3 or 4 years somewhere else, just because of the pace at which everything goes. It was insane.
So, so in the public accounting world, right? So you come out with your accounting degree, and you usually go into like one of the big four, right? And so it's either the KPMGs, the PwCs, the Deloittes, or the Ernst, right? And of course, you got the Grant Thorntons and the other ones that are kind of coming up out of the mix. So usually you go in there, and the reason why you start there is because you get exposed to so many different things, and not necessarily like everybody wants to do audit for the rest of their life or wants to do taxes for the rest of their life, but it's a really good way to kind of do a proving ground of, hey, this is what your degree. It's a facet of your degree, right? It's not that everybody has to go into public accounting, but that was my experience. And so, but when you get in there, you realize that you start looking around with the people that you just joined with, and half of them aren't there. And it's not because they got fired or whatever. It's like maybe this is not for me, and so they kind of start peeling off into things that either they go back to school or they may take a job with a client, what have you. And so the people that are still there, you're kind of looking around. It's like, okay, now we're a pretty tight group, right?
Tight-knit unit.
But same thing though. Once you get out of that, and it truly is a rat race. The pace is so fast in public accounting that, and you're constantly, you are taught how to multitask, which I don't know if that's the best thing to learn, because when you multitask, you're just inefficient.
Yeah.
Basically, you're a bastion of mediocrity, right? It's like, how can I be more mediocre? I'm going to do 4 things at once, right? But they teach you how to be mediocre.
Yeah, terrific.
When you finally jump into a private accounting setting, it's a very difficult transition because you're used to this pace. You're used to things you're used to picking up the phone, you get things on time, and then you realize, oh, that's not how it's really run. And that's the reason why people hate people like us when we come into a company like, oh, I need that report. You got that report? It's like, yeah, that guy over there, I've been asking it for 2 weeks for that report. All right, can you get off my back? It's like, now you're that person who goes, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that they're talking. So, but it's really interesting to hear you say that. There are certain companies out there that are similar, and where you dip your toe in the water, you're jumping in whole hog, and then all of a sudden you are just absolutely bathed in what you wanted to learn, and now you take those skills and go anywhere with them. So you were there for 4 years.
3 years. Mm-hmm.
And then you decided to move back to Texas?
Back to Texas, yeah. So my family, when I moved to California, they moved to Texas. And when I wanted to start my company, I decided, Texas is a better environment to start a company. I want to put my roots there.
Because you have guns and horses?
Yeah, and that's a big advantage in business.
French people like that kind of
stuff. The funniest thing for me is my dad, because he's a perfumer. He's so French. He has a thick French accent. But now, he mows the lawn on this big tractor. He wears like this big hat with this American flag. And he's just, there are like mules and horses around. And it's like,
what is like
just a 180 in his life. Yeah.
Does he drink Budweiser?
No, but he probably should start. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's just like so close to doing that. Yeah.
And so now you're in Texas. You started your own business.
Correct. Yeah.
And how new is this business?
So it's been, I've been thinking about it for a while, but in terms of actually being out there, it's been a year. And in terms of actually gaining traction, like 2-3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Like real traction.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So it's in, FP&A transformation consulting, basically.
What's the name of the business?
Margineo.
Margineo.
So since we've been spelling everything, Margineo. So like margin, neo. Like
Matrix. No, do you have a phone booth?
yeah. I have
My logo is a phone booth.
It's the one thing. That's why my business has taken off. I just acquired a phone booth. Can finally call people.
Huge step.
I can finally reach customers. So, so it's called Margineo. It's FP&A transformation, and the premise is, Tesla had a very contrarian approach to FP&A. And so I bring that to businesses between 200 million and $1 billion in revenue in manufacturing consumer goods, and bring kind of help across people, process, and technology. But to be honest, the thing I really want to do, and the thing I'm focused on 100%, and that's really taking off, is margin analytics.
Okay.
Gross margin analytics for that cohort. Yeah.
Okay, so now you got to get nerdy.
Let's get nerdy.
Push those sleeves up? Here we go. So what is margin analytics?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with the story of how I even got there.
Yeah. If you could paint me a picture, even better.
So at Tesla, one of my first projects was very ambitious. 3 people had tried it before, and they had failed
miserably.
So well, I don't know. Yeah, kind of. I guess
We'll say
miserably. They had miserably failed.
According to Elon's standard, it was miserable.
Yeah, well, it didn't work, so I suppose and the idea was to automate PVM analysis. Are you familiar with like price volume mix analysis?
I know those 3 words.
Okay.
But let's talk about this.
Yeah. So price volume mix analysis is it can be done for revenue, costs, any line item, profit in general. And the idea is you attribute your changes to price or cost, or like a per unit change, right?
Okay.
So maybe you adjusted your prices, or a supplier, amped up your costs. So it's like a per unit change.
Sure.
Volume, right? With volume, your cost structure changes. And also mix. And so mix is like product mix. So for example, as an example, so you might have, let's say you're selling Porsches and Toyotas.
Okay.
You might sell the same overall volume. You might have not changed your prices, but if you sell as a percentage of that same volume more Porsches than Toyotas, your overall revenue will be up, right? So that's kind of how to think of mix.
Okay.
So PVM analysis is the number 1 kind of financial storytelling tool for companies that are subject to that. So usually like physical goods companies with SKU complexity. And so PVM analysis was big at Tesla, and it's big at all those kinds of companies. But it's notoriously difficult. You can do like a back of the envelope quick Excel one, but it's actually pretty complicated to do well. If you have a lot of SKUs, if you operate in different regions, you have different products, you have different sales channels, you build in different factories. And so PVM analysis up until now has been very one-dimensional when it comes to mix analysis. And basically I automated PVM analysis at Tesla. Which hadn't
did
been
you
done
build
before.
this code yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I build everything myself.
Look at you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, the analytics actually, you know what? The analytics rotation did not help because it was after. So it was more, I had some coding experience. I'm kind of like self-taught with that stuff.
Cool.
I was always interested.
So this was before vibe coding. This is
Yes.
like you actually, okay, go.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
But most of this, it's a script. The coding part, I mean, the hard part was the logic. Writing a script, if you have some elementary like Python or SQL skills, wasn't that difficult. So anyway, so transition, fast forward to now I have my own company, and I'm thinking back, at Tesla is like a super innovative company, a lot of investment in data analytics. If they couldn't figure out PVM analysis, like there's probably a ton of companies that can't, right? And so I thought, okay, well, so how can I work on PVM analysis for these clients? What would be the ideal kind of customer? And so I built out an algorithm that's much more advanced than much more advanced than what they have at Tesla. Okay? because I've rebuilt it from the ground up, partnered with some really smart math whizzes.
We call those nerds.
We call them nerds, but not officially. And we've built this algorithm targeted for consumer goods companies, manufacturing companies that have some SKU complexity and some size. Like, it would be useful if you make 5 million in revenue, but not so useful that you don't need that level of detail. You probably can keep everything in your head. Past like 250 million, no. And it's the bigger the company, the more SKU complexity, the better. But we're focusing 250 to 1 billion, just because accessing 1 billion and up is hard from like a sales perspective.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of.
So that's the PVM, right?
PVM analysis.
So that was PVM, but now the original question was, what is margin analysis?
So gross margin analysis.
Now that we know the underpinnings of it,
yes.
now we're back into gross margin analysis. So tell me, what does gross margin analysis do for me as a company? Like, let's say for the bananas, what would that help me do with in the bananas? Our main revenue streams are the merchandising effort and ticket sales.
Okay. Well, the understanding your margin in general, right? I mean, you want to understand your financials, right? You want to understand your gross margin. The problem is, the more complex your business is, the less you kind of see what's going on. So if I gave you, so basically they're like, if you're not doing PVM analysis, there are two ways to really look at your margins. Either I'm going to give you a, P&L, and you're going to see gross margin is this, and it's like, okay, cool. Maybe if we get fancy, I'll give you a P&L by division. So this is your merchandising, P&L, and this is your gross margin. But it doesn't tell you much. What you could do is you could do like a super in-depth analysis, SKU by SKU, transaction by transaction. But you can't present that. Like, okay, great. How are you going to explain?
Models the story.
Yeah, how are you going to, what's like, you're kind of seeing you're not seeing the forest for the trees, right? And so the ideal like margin analysis is a margin bridge or like a waterfall.
Oh, that's
have
cool.
you ever seen? Yeah,
Keep going.
It's like
explain it.
So a waterfall is basically, it takes you from point A to point B in time. And so you might see, okay, Q1, this was our gross profit. Q2, this is our gross profit. What the hell happened, right? That's like a margin bridge. You bridge those numbers. And so PVM is basically a framework for a margin bridge. And it's a very self-sufficient framework because it explains pretty much everything that could happen. You either have a per unit change, you have a volume change, or you have a mix change. And so the complexity then, so this is like high level, but then you can loop in FX, right? What's the effect of introducing a new product? What's the effect of removing a new product? Currencies. And so pretty quickly your bridge can become a real like storytelling tool where I can take you and quantify. That's the important part, because I can say, oh, this happened and this happened. The quantification is what's like super difficult, because you could probably kind of figure out mix, for example, loosely speaking. Like, yeah, I can tell on this pivot table that this kind of volume of these kinds of products increase, et cetera. But to actually quantify that is, like, hate to say it, currently no one is doing that. No one is actually accurately quantifying different mix effects in their financials, unless they're working with us.
When you're talking about this, I in my head, I'm thinking about the marketing efforts at the Bananas. Okay, and one of the things that we do really, really well is we have people come in and watch our stuff on socials, watch our stuff on YouTube and everything. And so as we go out and we do these new marketing activations, what have you, each week our marketing team tells us, hey, this is how many fans our fandom grew over the past week. And I think over the last week we grew 162,000 new fans.
Wow.
Now, does that mean like they're brand new fans? I don't know if they're the same fans. I don't know if we're like adding them up from YouTube to Instagram to TikTok. If that's like the same fan 3 times over, or if it's really 162,000 people. But the way that Jesse Cole looks at this is that he says, I want to build a billion fan brand. Like, I'm not worrying about the cash, because if we build a billion fans, cash should take care of itself, because we're obviously doing something right? But what I find fascinating about this particular issue is that we can see how many fans from it's like a odometer, right? So my mileage said this. I went so many miles, and now it says this. Okay, I know the distance that I just put on my car, but I don't know like what happened during that travel, right? In the case of this, I could say, well, yeah, we had 1 million fans here, and now we have 1,162. But what does that actually tell us, other than we just have more fans? How do we activate those individuals, right? Because so the question is, did we do something special? Was there a certain marketing effort? Was there a campaign? That is something that we really struggle with right now. Where and so the marketing team says, hey, we want to do this campaign. It's like, gosh, that seems like a lot of money. Can you show me what's going to come out of that? And of course, from my perspective, I'm always thinking in dollar signs, right? I have to. That's my job. They're thinking in increase in fans, which is fine. That's where they need to be. But there has to be something that dovetails those together, or it's like one of those like, well, yeah, but you spent, let's just say $50,000. You spent $50,000, but we only got $20,000 of actual output from that, right? Or is it you spent $50,000 and we got $200,000 worth of output, like marketing, reach, what have you? Where's the connection? Did those new fans, did they buy a ticket? Did they buy a shirt? Like, how does that translate into the real underpinnings of the business, which is, are we monetizing these people? Now, I know that that's not the goal of fandom in Banana Ball, but it's the goal of the CFO trying to figure out, hey, if we're going to spend money, what's the return on investment of that dollar we just spent in the marketing? Is it $2, $3, $5? Is it 50 cents? If it's 50 cents, we can only do so many of those as long as we have a $3 one coming down the pike, right? So what you're saying in the case of that story, that bridge, I like the way you call it a bridge, because from one period to the next, there is a story that has happened inside your business, right? It doesn't matter what line you're looking at. Forget about numbers. If we're looking at the balance sheet or we're looking at P&L, there is a story that has occurred between those 2 points. The question is, can you communicate what just happened? Even down in the details that you're seeing, there's no point in having all that detail if you can't wrap, like, how does this even, what does this even mean to my company? Like, great, that's another point that you can like ping me on. But if that doesn't come and be part of the story, why are we even monitoring that, right?
Absolutely.
So are you finding, you said just in the past few weeks, you're really starting to feel some traction, which by the way, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's, I know what it's like to start a company. It's the fire in your belly and you're like, oh, come on, man, come on. Specifically inside software. But what are you finding is kind of your competitive advantage here, other than the fact that you're doing something that nobody else can do?
It's actually a pretty big one.
But when you're on the bleeding edge, nobody understands what you're doing anyway. And so you're solving a problem that people don't even know that they have.
So that's the thing, actually. Actually, they do. That's one of the most gratifying things I've experienced. The hard part of developing the business has been access, has been getting in front of people.
Okay.
Recently, we were on Secret CFO. You know Secret CFO, and so
those guys are awesome. Yeah, gals, whatever.
Yeah,
it's a secret.
It's a secret. Yeah.
I just know they have CFOs.
And they make awesome content. So we were on there, and we presented our tool in this pilot episode that they did for use cases of AI and technology and finance. With everything that's going on, and. The response was unbelievable. People who are like CFOs of big companies, okay, people you expect to be kind of sober. We're writing all caps to me, I need this, right? Like that's kind of how it was. So the reason is, so if I talk to a CFO who's not of that size, company size that I mentioned, or manufacturing consumer goods sector, they're not used to doing PVM analysis necessarily. So they're like, okay, ooh, this looks cool, like margin analysis. If I talk to someone who is in that space, within 3 to 5 minutes, literally they're like,
crying.
oh yeah, they're like, oh, we need this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there is a problem because it's new. It's new to be able to go there, but it's not. It's not like new to want to go there. It's kind of like, I'm not saying we're going to the moon, okay? But it's like the moon. Everybody knows it's there. Everybody can see it. But now I'm bringing people to the moon.
That's pretty cool.
It's not as cool as the moon, but
I mean, hey,
yeah.
you went with Elon when you started, so you're still.
I'm doing my own version of rocketry.
No, I like it. Well, what I like about this is that so I recently had a book published, and this book it's a cost accounting book, a managerial accounting book, but wrapped in like an entrepreneurial jacket, right?
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm teaching it to, specifically the reason why I wrote it was because I'm teaching SCAD students, and what we mean is that at Savannah College of Art and Design, these are creative individuals, right? And when I say creative individual, they love fashion, they love painting, they love video game design, they love industrial design, they love everything except accounting.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things where they look at it and go, they take all this intellectual property that's in their head, and they're wearing this passion on their sleeve. They have tattoos, they have funny hair. They are their own unique individuals, right? And they have great ideas. And what they do at SCAD is they take these ideas and they build out this fantastic portfolio. Some company comes in and says, "Hey, I want you to come work with me." And they have a great the rate that they place people, placement rate.
Mm-hmm.
But what we hear from these graduates is that when I go there, like I'm giving them all these ideas, and they're the ones making the money off of my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is like, can I start my own business? Yes, you can. Let me show you how to do that. So this book that I have is basically walking a creative into, you have all this intellectual property. Yes, you probably need to go work for somebody for a little bit just to kind of understand business.
Yeah.
But if I can teach you the underpinnings of how to grow a business, how to start a business, basically we start off with CVP. Cost, volume, profit analysis, right? Which is where you are living, right? And then so moving in there, doing a pro forma, pitching investors, actually going into a budget, flexible budgets,
cool.
things like that, and then moving into finally getting to an annual shareholder meeting. So you have this entire 1 year. But we talk about a 3-year pro forma, but we always talk about the 1 year that you're doing business. Mm-hmm. What's important? I can take an accounting book that is like 960 pages and say, here, this is intermediate accounting, and they look at it and they just say, 1, they fall asleep, 2, they're using it as a doorstop. But inside that accounting book, this is one thing that I wish accounting people would stop doing this. They have like 400 people that contribute to one book, and of course it gets updated every year, so you can't sell the book back, right? But they're giving me information that I need 15 years from now. Mm-hmm. Like I'm starting a business today. What do I need to know to get out of my garage and into that space right across town so that I can start my business, right? I can get out, like mom, like I don't have to smell all the cooking in the kitchen, right? Which is great, by the way. I love mom. But what are those steps that get you out? I don't need to know like tough lease accounting. Mm-hmm. I need to know how am I going to pay for this one component so that I can get this prototype to work so that I can get to the next stage.
How to think, basically.
How to think. Yeah. But there's an order upon which you need to build these things, because if you do them out of order, it's not that it's incorrect, it's just a little bit more difficult, right? So some people race down that and they go, oh, I skipped a spot, and then they have to run back and go, okay, pick it up, now run with the ball, right? But what you're saying, and what I love about what you're saying, is that I always go back to, so cost accounting is I love it. I love cost accounting because you can pull certain levers inside cost accounting and can change dramatically what the business is doing. Mm-hmm. And if you know where to look, which is what you guys are starting to provide, right? Which I'm super excited about, then those levers become readily apparent and say, okay, it can be a small lever that makes a huge difference, or it has to be one of these big ones where you just we're turning off that entire line. Mm-hmm. It's just not cash flowing. It's taking too much money out of the other products that we have out here. But specifically, I talk about, obviously, when you talk about accounting, it's a lemonade stand, right? Yeah. And the lemonade stand becomes, this is...
Why not banana juice stand.
Because that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever juiced a banana?
No, it's probably kind of, yeah.
I think we have a banana beer, and it's
Okay.
it's not it's like. But so the thought is that so the character, I made up this character, so very similar to what you're doing. How do you make accounting fun? I've got this entire cartoon character. His name's Sourpuss, right? And it's and he was this tiny cat that he was a country cat, went to the city, was going to stretch his legs and try to become the big city cat, but kept getting pummeled by all the alley cats. It's like so finally he's had enough. And he knows that in this whole thing is in this book. He finds out from his mom that there is a tincture that has been passed down in his family from generation to generation to generation from from the cats of yore, and they used it to fend off this attack years ago, and it was underneath an oak tree. Like there's all this stuff, right? But they took this thing, and it's called the alpha catalyst. And the alpha catalyst made them strong and confident, right? And so he wanted to create the new alpha catalyst. And he was going to do it and put it inside a lemonade so that any small cat throughout the city could take this alpha catalyst and stand up to the bullies. All right.
Okay.
So there's a whole bully mentality thing here. Like I don't know.
Some childhood trauma.
I used to have red hair. Okay, leave me alone. But the whole point is that as we start developing this character and making it a little bit more fun to take the accounting course, you finally get into the marketing, and the cash flow, and the P&L, and the balance sheet, and all these things. But what it all really comes down to is that once this company is, once you get through the startup piece where everything's new, everything's exciting, you finally get to that point where now you're hovering. Where are you going to go? You're going to go here, or you're going to go down. The question is, how do you do it? There's one of two ways. You either raise your prices, or you control your costs. And so I'm on the cost side. You must own and control your cost environment, so that, because if you don't, it doesn't matter how much you raise your prices. At some point, your customers are going to look at it and go, "That's not valuable enough to pay that much for that." So then you have to say, "Okay, well then I have to start controlling my costs." And what you're showing is that there are CFOs everywhere that you're now revealing all of these underlying costs that they knew were there, but they didn't know how to manipulate them. That's fascinating. So have you turned this into a software?
Yeah, so the algorithm itself everything is software based. We're working as a service business for
SaaS.
Yeah, instead of being SaaSy, we want it to stay as a service. So the software is in the back end, but I'm currently operating as a consultant, and allows me to get a lot of face-to-face time with clients, and just kind of control the rollout of this more smoothly.
Sure.
But eventually, maybe the goal would be software, although at a client's. But so far, the service model seems to be going pretty well. And you brought up cost control, and so it made me think of this analogy. This story. I know you like stories.
I like stories.
Clearly, you like
embellish
stories.
them as much as you can. My wife says it's lying. I just tell her no. It makes the story better.
There's truth, there's lying, and in between is like
FP&A.
Yeah.
Oh, zing!
Yikes. Okay, you got me.
There's accounting, there's finance, and then there's the guys in the middle.
Oh wow. So at Tesla, in terms of cost, this is kind of like a lesson about cost. I think when you're at those bigger companies, you tend to see money as relative. Like $50,000, if it was you'd be like, oh my god. But at a big company, you're like,
preach.
It doesn't. You're just like, oh, it's like a small percent. Like, and to a certain extent, you have to do that, right? You can't be focused on everything. But I remember getting a PO. It was like $1 million, and at Tesla we were like really encouraged to be like hardcore. That was the word about cost cutting, always. And I looked at each line item of the P&L and we have this thing called the idiot index. So Elon invented that, and it's basically you take the cost of the finished part that you would get from a supplier, you divide it over what would be the cost of just the raw material components, right? It's got like 5 kgs of aluminum. This is the aluminum price. You put that on the bottom. On the top is the actual supplier price, and you're like, why is this 10 times more expensive? Like, this is the idiot index, right? And some of it is allowable for manufacturability, et cetera. But anyway, so you do all of that, but then you also look, and some other line items are like travel and lodging, $50,000. And it was for 2 guys to fly from, I forget where. Well, I don't forget, but I don't want to mention it, just in case it's like somehow identifiable what supplier it would be.
Do you notice the blur out your face from this?
I have to become the secret FP&A guy. But
We'll put it in French. No one will understand it.
Oui, donc, du coup. So, yeah, it's like $50,000 for travel and lodging to fly 2 engineers for a week to Fremont, California. And it was like, and I was telling our purchasing guy, like, for that, I can get those 2 guys back and forth to Abu Dhabi many times, give them like a nice
on
hotel.
A boat.
Yeah, like you guys, just because it's $50K, you should like just spend the 1 second reading and just using critical thinking. And something I think that Tesla was like so good, you know, we were talking about competitive advantage. The competitive advantage of Tesla is many things, but one of them is an uncommon level of common sense. I would really say, like, literally a lot of what we did was common sense. And like just looking at it and be like, oh, $50,000, you can look at it by analogy and be like, oh, I guess that's not a big portion of the, you know, PO. Or you can look at it from first principles and be like, what else can I do with $50,000? Oh, I can have a crazy vacation with their whole company. Like maybe this is not, you know, maybe we should not allow this. And so, yeah, that's kind of on cost cutting. Like you should always reason with common sense and first principles, because a lot of the opportunity is not like, you know, everybody's cutting costs now with everything that's going on. And,
sure.
And people are kind of like, oh, we need this cost cutting strategy, et cetera. No, I mean, yes, but using common sense is like 80% of it, I would say. Cost cutting is very difficult. I don't want to, but a lot of it is common sense. Like you can scratch a lot by just paying attention and thinking critically, not just saying, oh, it's 50K out of a 1 million PO, but like, what could I do with 50K? And does that match what they're charging me?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we talk about in the class, specifically inside the SCAD class, is after we've already gone through the first portion of the class, and they've done their investor presentation, and surprise, they get funded. So because otherwise the last half of the class would be really boring. It's like, oh, I'm out of business. Like, oh, you get an F. But as they go through, it's like now you're actually running the business. And what I tell them is like, listen, I'm going to come up with a scenario, and this scenario is going to be devastating for your company. It can be either a positive or a negative scenario. For example, let's say there was one class that had an alcoholic spritzer, right? Kind of like these Alfani or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And so I gave them a scenario where their influencer was out at a Miami club. And she got into it with her frenemy, obviously for the social media cameras to spark up the drama, get some more things. And she apparently, whatever was said inside, because you couldn't hear, because Miami's where the bass sound was created, because that's what Ice Ice Baby told us. But she got so mad. She took the Alfani spritz and she threw it at the other person, knocking her out with the person's product, right? And so I said, what do you do? Because right now you're now being your product, which is a alcoholic drink, is now being used as a weapon. Is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Where are you going to take this, right? So that would be one scenario. Another scenario would be like a coffee company, right? And they're buying their coffee beans from this certain place. It's funny because in SCAD, everybody has sustainable stuff, sustainable, free trade, right? Which is great. But also there's a cost to it. There's a cost of sustainability, there's a cost of free trade. And so,
adults are more expensive than children.
They are. They're also like just large kindergartners, so they are. But in this case, if they're getting their coffee beans from a certain location, hey, a plane just wrecked and that coffee plantation is now 95% up in smoke. You now have a problem, because over here there was a marketing issue that maybe you can leverage. And there was like, what was that can? Like, stop it in the middle as it's being thrown. Stops in the middle. It's like, hey, it's like you're selling. The problem you have is you can't make enough fast enough, right? Over here, if you don't change your supplier very quickly or have alternate means, your coffee company is about to go into the ground. So the question is, how do you navigate these positive and these negative things so that your business doesn't go out of business? And one of the things that we always talk about is what they'll do is they'll say, oh, well, this is a perfect example. They say, well, we're just gonna outsource. Okay, where are you gonna outsource? Well, we're gonna outsource to Ecuador. We're gonna outsource to China. Okay, no, you can do that. Tell me, how does that fall through your financial situation? Well, it's going to change labor. Oh no, it's going to change a whole lot of other things, right? So, because now your labor costs are gone, those are now material costs, and everything's indwelt in that product. So you're paying for their labor, you're paying for their materials, you're paying for the transportation costs to get to you. So when you right, all those things. So you didn't just get rid of labor, you just moved labor to a different line. And is that line now more efficient than it was when you were just creating it in your backyard? Could you have just gone across the street to the factory across the street and swung a deal with them and said, hey, my machines are offline. How do you have idle capacity across the street? Can I buy that idle capacity off you, right? There's all these different maneuvers that you can make, but you just have to be aware that they're there. But it's funny though, because the outsourcing thing, obviously with Trump tariffs, what have you, nobody wants to put anything overseas, overseas right now, because that extra tariff coming in, it's like, are we being penalized? Kind of, but then you look at it and go, well, what's happening to my stuff when I sell it overseas? It's getting taxed, it's getting tariffed out the wazoo. So there's all these different things that are happening, and you as the entrepreneur, as the founder of the organization, you may not be the one that's in it all the time. You may have other advisors, what have you, who are coming around you saying, hey, we need to do this, hey, look at this. Silicon Valley does a great job with this on that HBO show. Yeah, that guy, that Jared guy, who's he is the guy that kind of gives that very dry approach. But you have to know what's going on, because what's going on overseas right now with the increase in petroleum prices, it's going to affect everything. So not only what's coming in into your stocks, into your inventory, it's also going to affect your travel budget, because now gas prices are going to, unless those airlines hedged, they're going to now increase that. So your everything goes up.
And consumer behavior too, right? Like with airlines, for example, like people are booking their tickets earlier now because they know that oil prices are going to be rising. Like that's what I did.
Yeah.
I bought my tickets early for a trip
50,000
because I knew, for Abu Dhabi with some engineers, because I knew, right, because it's all connected, and totally, you have to be paying attention to what's
So when
going
you
on.
tweak one line, what I was trying to tell the students is that, listen, if you have this issue that's in front of you, this stumbling block, this challenge that you have to overcome, understand that it's not just one line that changes. There are several lines inside your financial statements that are going to be impacted, and I just want you to logically think through it, because I don't care about the numbers. I care about the fact that your behavior says that that's not the only place that's going to be affected, and I need to make sure that the other places I'm ready for that impact, right? Because we can't just increase prices to get out of a bad situation. We have to control our cost environment. That is the hill I'm going to die on. It's so funny because I'll share this now because the book's coming out. So there's a gentleman out there. His name is Michael Michalowicz. He wrote a book called Profit First, right? And a very successsul book. I think it's helped a lot of entrepreneurs.
I think I might have heard of it actually.
I think it's helped a lot of entrepreneurs try to figure out their banking relationship. It's basically what he's done is he's taken the accounting equation of revenues minus expenses equal profits, and he's just switched expenses and profits. So it's revenues minus profits equal expenses. And what he's trying to do there is say, if you put profits before expenses, then at least you know how much you want to make, and then this is what's left over for you to spend. Okay,
It's like a budgeting.
Yeah, it's like a budgeting tool. And now people that have never been in that environment, like for me, being in the CPA world for a long time, I look at it and go, all right, I mean, I guess, but then again,
trick.
I know what I'm doing, whereas a lot of mom and pops don't. So yeah, it's been very helpful. It's a very successful book. In fact, I think Jesse Cole at the Bananas actually credits him with helping them get out of the situation that they're in, and now, of course, the Bananas are doing fantastically. But his book, Profit First, it enrages me because it makes people think that oh, I have to go after profits. No, certainly if you're in a for-profit business, profits is where you eventually want to have it. But profits shouldn't be the main goal of the business, because first of all, you get into a business in the very beginning, you do it because you really love what you're doing, and it's like, oh, I can get paid to do this? Great. And then you realize, well, there's some costs involved in this. How am I going to stand this up? And then eventually the profits start coming in, right? So my take has always been, profits, certainly, you definitely want to get there, but the way you get there is to understand and control that cost environment. It's actually costs first. And if you understand these little tiny things, because perfect example, you saying manufacturing, by unit, right? The variable costs, right? You get down to your contribution margin, and all of a sudden, and you're looking at right here, and you're saying, wait a second, I'm making money right here. No, those are just your variable costs. Now drop down into your fixed costs. Oh man, I'm not making money. Correct. Now go back up to your price and see, did you price it accurately? Did you price it just to cover your coffee beans, your water, your cups, and those little sleeves that make me not lose my skin when I hold that super hot cup of coffee? Or did you also include the rent and the insurance and the salaries and things like that? Because that whole thing where people mess up, and from my experience, where people mess up is they only cover the variable costs and they don't remember that pricing needs to be down here too. Because when we originally got to our price, we were in a basement, we were in a studio apartment, and we thought this is what we should price it at. Well, now you have
to
more.
allocate everything.
Yeah, you have to figure this out. Or you volume it out. If you sell enough units, then you cover it all.
But you got to make sure, still, you got to make sure per unit economics are sound, right? Because you can volume yourself out of the game too.
You are, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when we're teaching all this stuff, I try to bring it back to, listen. Yes, eventually we want to make profits. If you're in business, if anybody tells you this, tells you different, they're lying. You are in business to make money. All right. Nonprofits, you got to make money too, right? It's just at the end of the year you're supposed to spend it all. Same with the government. But they spend too much. No big deal. We'll just tax them. There's going to be another Boston Tea Party. But in this case, though, if you have control of your cost environment and understand what all those little pieces mean, which is what you're bringing to the table, which is awesome, by the way, then the clarity comes in that you are super confident that you know what's happening inside your company. And now the profit piece, that's a minor tweak. If you have more value, if your car now drives itself, you can increase the price, because now because you understand this, you got this on lock, and now you've added value, and so a consumer is going to look at that and go, I would pay more for that. Great.
Yeah.
And so now you've fixed both sides of the equation. But yeah, it's that logical story of, when you pull one lever, it's not just one lever. It's never one lever. There's always multiple things that are going to happen.
And you know, people, I'm on LinkedIn too much, and I see all kinds of stuff like FP&A should be about the future, not about the past. And it's like, I mean, yes, but in order to understand the future, you have to understand the past, right? And it's like storytelling, understanding what actually happened. The more you understand what happened, the more you're going to be able to predict the future and and make the right moves. Like, in your personal life, you know this, right? You have to learn from your mistakes. You have to understand what happened. That's what therapy is. That's how.
I shouldn't have swiped right.
Yeah. So my tool is like a therapist for your business, if you wish, right? And it's like, everybody's worried about the future, and because it sells. But if you think, once again, I think it's about applying common sense, right? When we think about ourselves, things make a lot more sense, and we're able to see things. The more we project out to like big abstract ideas, the more we can get, AI in the future and everything. But there is enormous value in being able to understand your story now, like at a granular level, because otherwise you're just predicting stuff that you don't understand, and you don't actually know what made it change. So how are you going to predict it, right? If you don't understand what happened, you are not going to understand what's going to happen. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So when you're walking through that transition, I think there becomes that one. You keep going back to story. I'm a huge fan of storytelling, and especially when you come back. So I really want to talk about this dichotomy between finance and accounting. So there has been a trend on LinkedIn for it probably started about 6 months ago. And it became readily apparent that all of a sudden everybody's like, okay, I'm going to show my colors. I'm FP&A.
Yeah.
I'm finance. And of course the accountants are just like, they're really busy doing their work.
They're not on LinkedIn.
They're not on LinkedIn. They're like, oh yeah, those finance guys doing that thing. But it got to the point where people were saying, well, accounting is looking backwards. They're the historians. They're doing the books, and the finance people. Oh my gosh, it's super exciting. They're driving the Lamborghinis. They're out there having happy hours and what have you, like jet setting. We look to the future. Accountants are in the past, right? And of course, you got the FP&A people going, "Hey, we're kind of best of both worlds here. You guys, we should. There's not enough room for everybody, but you can come on in." I finally got to the point where I went on to actually that Google VO. And I have this little thing, and I haven't deployed it yet. I was waiting for a secret CFO to put something out, and I was gonna answer it with this. But it's a coin. And on one side it says accounting, and the other side it says finance. And it's this little kid, he's like this old paper boy, like a newsie on a corner of a 1930s. And so he flips this coin, and it zooms in on the coin, it says accounting, and it flips, and there's finance, and he catches the coin, and he goes, "Thanks, mister," and he puts it in his pocket, right? With the whole point saying, guys, why are we having this conversation?
Yeah.
We're all brothers and sisters in finance and accounting. In fact, I got so fed up with it, I started calling it "fuck-counting." So F' accounting. People are like, oh, I don't like French words. I'm like, oh, this is the French words, like la compatibilité au chocolat, right? So it's just one of those things where it's like, will you stop having this dumb argument? What you're basically doing is you're telling everybody outside of our circle that we don't know what we're doing, and that we oh nope, this is accounting, this is finance, oh, and this is in this side finance, this is the quants, this is the Relax. We're all part of the same group. You need accountants. We need finance. We can all live together.
It's like in the factory. It's like if the manufacturing had tension with purchasing, and actually there is a lot. So I guess purchasing is the input, and then manufacturing makes it. It's kind of the same thing, right? Accounting's a strong input into a financial model. There's always tension between groups because I don't know, different cultures, and people get partisan. And actually, this is one of the things that was really cool about Tesla is there was zero tolerance for that.
Yeah.
There was zero tolerance. People would get fired for that because we're one team with one mission, right? It goes back to first principles. So Elon's always talking about first principles thinking versus thinking by an analogy, right? So instead of comparing what's been done before, et cetera, you focus on like axiomatically what are the core principles, and let's build out our worldview from that, like logically. And so, your company is meant to make goods and services. It doesn't matter where you are. Everybody's contributing to that, right? And finance is the same way. Like FP&A, like you're meant to be a strategic partner in the business. And I just think in general, people should think first principles. What are we doing? And it would avoid a lot of this conflict, and it would also avoid a lot of busy work. Yeah. Like just knowing what is your function, what are you doing, what is the first principles upon which your role rests, and if there isn't one, your role is unnecessary. But if you can say, okay, we are the strategic nerve of an organization, then a lot of this discussion with accounting, finance is unnecessary. We are all contributing to that strategic vision. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely makes sense.
You need first principles. You need to really understand why you're doing stuff.
Yeah, we keep going to, again, back at the bananas, we look at it from the standpoint of like, look, we do two things. We sell tickets for shows, and we sell merchandise. That's literally our revenue streams. There's some media stuff in there, but that's like third party kind of stuff, right? But what are we actually doing? We're putting on a show, and we're providing merchandise so people, when they go to the show and they have a good time, they can wear it and just remember nostalgically, hey, this was a really good time, right? They want to be part of the family, part of the group. Sometimes it's really difficult because with how fast we've been growing, it's people lose sight of it. It's like, well, my job is for entertainment. I need to be here. It's like, yes, you are correct. You're wearing the black shirt on Saturdays and Sundays. You're on the field. You've got the camera. But understand, pull yourself out. There are fans behind you who are engaging with your merchandise department, with your finance department, where it be, but with your ticketing team, with all these other people. So while you are honed in at this particular moment, there's a game that's going on behind the game. Like, it's funny, players will ask me all the time, it's like, so hey, did you watch the game today? It's like, I didn't see one lick of the game. It's like, what do you do? Like, that's finance. Like, what do you do during the game? bro, if you knew what I was doing, it's like, remember that, you know that jersey you're wearing right now? Yeah, about 17 people bought your jersey today. You know how they did that? Because we had a Wi-Fi box out there and a little POS system that they could click on so they could buy your jersey. So in about 3 months, when you get that commission from the jersey, he's like, oh okay, Naddy, we got it. It's like, no, you don't get it. Sit down. It's like, but it's truly a game behind the game, and I call these people, the people that are behind the scenes, I call them shadow operators. It's shadow ops. In fact, if you're on LinkedIn,
yeah.
I throw it is badass. It's like, so on LinkedIn, every once in a while, when people are feeling unappreciated, I'll throw that shadow ops. Of course, I love ChatGPT, but it's really cool because I said, hey, I want something like I don't know if you're a gamer or not, but Tom Clancy has this. It's called Splinter Cell, right? And so he's like in his like his dark gear. Gear. He's got the optical. I said, I want that feel, but I want accountants. And I said, and I want you to mix it together. And the visual it gave me was so awesome. I was like, oh, I'm using this. So, but I call it shadow ops because a lot of times we do what we do behind the scenes. Nobody knows what we're really doing, but if we're not doing it, there is no marketing team. There is no entertainment. There is no baseball because we can't get people from point A to point B, and because we're not taking care of our finances. So when people come back and they bitch and moan about the finance department and the accounting department, what they don't realize is that we are putting up with things that you have no idea are happening. I get it. Your marketing campaign has to go. I get it. But there's so many other things that are happening that you have no idea. You're in your department. I'm supporting the entire organization, right? And I say that the finance department is literally like the heart of the organization, but also the liver. The heart, and that we pump everything into pump that oxygen in, but also the liver, we have to filter. All the bad stuff out so that it doesn't, like, risk management is huge in the finance department. It's like, oh my gosh, we have something coming down the pike. Okay, let's get on top of that. Let's get in front of that, right? But and people don't really appreciate the finance until they have to. Like when payroll's wrong, right? It's like, hey, can you help me out with this? Oh, now you want to talk finance, right? But we do it graciously. We when they leave, we thumb our nose at them. But I love how you're bringing this new element into the C-suite and specifically in manufacturing, because cost accounting is amazing. I think it's electric. I think I'm super nerdy when I say that, but to understand more about your cost environment that's right in my bailiwick, man. I love it. What is the name of your company again?
Margineo, Margineo.
Okay, and it's not French.
No.
Okay, and if I wanted to go and find you, to be a consultant or whatever kind of products and T-shirts you're going to be putting out with a funny name on it, where would I find you?
You can find me on my website, which is margineo.com, or you could find me on LinkedIn, which is my first name, last name. So Artur, Arthur, and Jacques, Jacques.
It does not sound like it's spelled.
Yeah.
Do they have to be French to reach out to you?
Yes, that's one of the, we have to implement a wait list, and there's so many people who are interested that we have to start segregating based on.
Do you know what wait list is in French?
Liste d'attente.
So, look at that. Nice. Well, listen, Arthur.
Sir.
This has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really excited about where you're going. I want to stay involved. Will you keep the Georgia Society of CPAs involved with them? Maybe we just follow you on LinkedIn or something.
Yeah, we'd love
because
that.
when you're huge someday, you're going to come back and we're going to talk about not Elon Musk's first principles. We're going to talk about Artur Jacques' first principles. And I really appreciate you being here. Do you want to send us off with any good words?
Yeah, just use common sense no matter what your function is. It's probably your number one asset, literally. It's so underused, it's crazy.
I love that. Now, with that same passion, I want you to say that in French. Go.
Il faut utiliser son bon sens. C'est une des choses les plus rares au monde et c'est très utile.
Vive la France!
Vive la France!
That's good to see you, Brad.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
That was too fun, man.